4 years have passed since the mortal races banded together and stood united against the might of the Burning Legion. Though Azeroth was saved, the tenuous pact between the Horde and the Alliance has all but evaporated. The drums of war thunder once again.
So the first thing we'll talk about is level range coverage. What we mean by this is when we started out designing World of Warcraft, we realized that something that makes an MMO a lot of fun for players is not feeling like they're funneled through content, like they only have one choice at one time. So when I talk about level range coverage, what I mean is that we also didn't want to start the dungeons off too early. Because it takes a little bit more organization to do a dungeon than it does the outdoor world. So our lowest level dungeon is Ragefire Chasm. One way to get people to go to dungeons to have some fun with our boss encounters is put really good loot there. We figured out that the experience in a dungeon is actually better than the outdoor world, but there are a few factors that come into play that make it more efficient to level up in the outdoor world. For example, you've got to get a group together to form up and even go to a dungeon. There's a travel time associated with getting to a dungeon. Dungeons require a much more tactical approach to combat. You don't just sort of smash through a field of boars, you know, doing thunderclap if you're the warrior, like, just aggro it all, I need XP. So kind of slow you down a little bit in dungeons. Anyway, we want an epic feel and sense of danger. This usually happens in the form of bugs where like Mortal Strike's doing 4 times the damage than it's supposed to, but occasionally we put really dangerous bosses and achieve that. And even if you look at the background picture of Stratholme all burning and stuff, it feels pretty dangerous. They have better loot on them, more hit points, they do more damage, but it requires a group to sort of take them down in a lot of cases. And we did this so that the class dependencies would all play out. You know, the warrior needs that priest healing, and you might need crowd control and all these sorts of things. We just want you to sort of pick your puller for your group and then lead the group through the dungeon. So I think pulling is a great way for individual players to show a lot of skill, and you can combo with like hunters and rogues and do some really interesting stuff in dungeons. But at the same time, we want to make sure the priest who's like told to sit in the back gets to actually move through the dungeon and see all the cool rooms. So try to make every class shine. Everything from the normal pulls that lead up to the bosses, and including the bosses, we're always asking ourselves, what do the different classes have to do in this particular encounter? We always try to come up with sort of unique creatures in unique areas to let everybody's spells shine. So let's talk about endgame content and why that is important. There's a lot to be said for that moment when you're sitting in Orgrimmar as a newbie and somebody runs through in like all raid gear and you're like, wow, that guy must be so powerful. So there's what I like to call the 1% myth. Why do you create content for 1% of your population? 1% is such a convenient number, just pulled out of thin air. You know, that guy you want to kick out of the guild is in the whelps, and and just kick the guy out already, you know? He's just absorbing loot. When we're making a raid encounter, we sit down and constantly ask ourselves, what is each class doing right now? If I'm a druid, what am I doing? Am I healing? Is there something for me to hibernate? If I'm a rogue, am I going to get ripped apart by the AE? If I'm a warrior, am I single tanking this or off tanking? We have to ask ourselves, what is each class doing? We never want to approach a raid from too far back and too big picture that we forget what it's like to be an individual player at that encounter at that time. Also, the Defias Pillagers, I like to point out that the Alliance is not easy mode. Anybody who's been level 14 in Westfall, yeah, it's hard, man. Moonbrook, they're like, you see 4 of them start at once, and you're like, oh God, Sentinel Hill. I'll just finish up with looking at the big picture a little bit. Our goal is to have enough content to keep a full-time raiding guild busy each night of the week. You know, it's really hard. You don't want to upset the community, but at the same time, sometimes it's actually for their own good in the long run. We always hear the counter argument of, man, I want to play WoW however I want to play it.
Go, go, go. Fap and go. Fap, go. Fap. Sapper charge. Go, go, go. Go, go. Sapper charge. Everything, everything. Everything. Boom, 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 boom. Come on. Push, 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 push. Get in, get in. Push, push, push. Doesn't matter if you die. Doesn't matter if you die. Push, push. Push. Get aggressive. Get aggressive. Get in, get in, get in, get in, get in. Come on, mages in. Mages in. Mages in. Get him.
Oh, shit.
Kill everything. Portals.
You think you do, but you don't. Remember when you had to like spam cities and say, need a tank, need a tank, need a tank during the Burning Crusade days? You don't remember that because now you just push a button that says go to the dungeon. You don't want to do that. Remember that one bug that really pissed you off that we fixed like 2 years ago? Still there in the past.